Welcome to Momtroversial, the podcast that dives headfirst into the beautiful chaos of motherhood and dishes on the stuff we wish we'd known and nobody tells you. This is your tribe for informed consent and unfiltered real talk. I'm Leah, a scrunchy nurse writing the Hot Mess Express, and I'm here to remind you that it's fine, you're fine, everything's fine.
I'm Alyssa, a crunchy mom who's all about organic living. I'm organized, opinionated, and your designated wingwoman in any parenting bar fight.
And I'm Tori, your ride or die mama 3 who will absolutely hold your baby and your secrets.
And if you guys have been keeping up with the Momtroversial podcast, we are finishing up a little series on all things labor and delivery and postpartum. And we thought one of the best ways to round this all out would be to share with you our personal experience giving birth to the babies that we have brought into this world. So this is going to be one of a few different episodes with us each sharing some of our different favorite birth stories with our kids. And today, we are going to have our ride or die, Tori, sharing a brief overview of her first two, but then we're going to go into detail of her third and how Mr. Charlie came into the world in his own fashion, in his own way, and has just been doing his own thing ever since. So, Tori, I would love if you would just get us started and tell us what it was like bringing these children into the world.
Okay, I'll do my best. I have 3 kids. For those of you who might be tuning in as our first episode, I have a daughter and 2 sons in that order. My first daughter was born at 38 weeks and 5 days. I was like sort of induced. My water broke and no labor started because of some interventions that we did. I had gestational diabetes with her, but I was diet managed and didn't really have any complications or anything, but they still were like, giving me the whole big baby scared fear-mongering talks. And so, we did a membrane sweep and I ended up having to be induced anyways. So long story short, I was very heavily my insulin really spiked during my labor, so I was heavily medicated with insulin or my sugar spiked, so I had to be on insulin. I had a catheter and I had an epidural. I had all the things. I looked like a cyborg. I had something in every arm. I had like blood pressure in one, IV in another. It was wild. I'd say my highlights with Hannah were I had been in labor so long since my water had broken that they had to put fluid back into my uterus to prevent a C-section. And she was born shortly after that. It was funny because obviously, like, I'd known I was pregnant and she was my first, and I was like very aware that I was going to have a baby. But as soon as they told me, like, oh, you're 10 centimeters, it's time to push, I started bawling my eyes out. I was like, I'm going to have a baby. As if I didn't previously know this, like going into all the labor. And I like it. So I don't know how many hours in. I could calculate it, but I'm not that cool. So, but yeah, about, I don't
The
know.
labor nurse in me is curious. So what they did when they put fluid back into your uterus is called an amnio infusion.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's trying to mimic the water that's come out. The labor nurse in me is curious. Did they tell you why they were doing it? Because usually it's because the baby's heart rate keeps dropping and is having these specific types of dips. That's cord compression.
She did not, my doctor at the time did not say. I know I had kind of a rocky road with her. I went to a practice that had multiple doctors and whoever was on was your doctor. I made a point to see every doctor in the practice, so I'd be like really familiar with all of them. And she was the only doctor I did not like, which was really interesting. She, or that is that what I say? I didn't like. Okay. Yeah, I guess she had gotten an incorrect report from the night nurse or the night doctor or night midwife, whoever was on before, saying I was a mismanaged diabetic patient or like like my diabetes was out of control. And I had, basically I was in like a critical state is what she essentially was told. And so she came in, she did a membrane sweep without my permission. She said she was going to take a look, and then she swept my membranes without telling me or asking me first. I got irate, and I told the nurses, like, I was like, I'm not seeing her anymore. Don't bring her back in here. Like, we're done. The charge nurse came in and tried to talk sense into me. I said no. Finally, she brought the doctor back in and she apologized. She's like, listen, I don't have the most sunny disposition, but I promise you I have like yours and your baby's best interests at heart, and I'll do my best to take care of you, and I will be more respectful going forward. So I agreed, and it turns out, like, I think that was like kind of a newer thing at the time that they were doing, and the amniotic refill, I don't know what to call it.
Infusion. Amniotic infusion.
Yeah.
I like the amniotic refill though. That sounds way cooler.
The womb refill that I got. But she did not say. She just told me, if we don't do this, you will be having a C-section. And I think I say most people know this about me, but I probably think most people don't know this about me. But like, I am terrified of having a C-section.
Same.
I know so many of my friends have had C-sections. They're perfectly healthy living beings walking around this planet, like, completely fine. For whatever reason, it terrifies me more than literally anything else. And so I was like, do whatever you want, like, because I was so scared to have a C-section. So that may have, looking back, I was on a very high dose of Pitocin. So it's really possible that there was a heart rate issue. But she kind of took like super charge of the situation, and I don't know, after we kind of went through our little thing, I didn't worry about what was going on with me anymore. And she was born 3 pushes later after that whole little crying incident about
Freaking
my
nice.
little crisis.
Pushes on your first.
Yeah, that was good.
Did you tear?
I did. I was on my back, and I fully believe.
Do you remember what degree it was?
Oh, it was super minor.
Did they tell you?
I had like dissolvable, like a couple of stitches. Like,
sutures.
it wasn't a big deal. Yeah, so she was my smallest baby, but she's the only one I've birthed on my back. So I fully believe that was the culprit. But I had such a strong epidural that they're like, when you feel something, push. And I was like, I feel nothing, so you're going to have to tell me. Like, they had to hold my legs because they had given me such a high dose of the epidural. Funny anecdote, after labor is all over, I've had the baby, I'm like telling the nurse, I'm like, I am going to pee this bed if you do not let me out of this bed. She was not taking me seriously. And I was like, listen, I'm going to get myself up and I'm going to go to this bathroom, or you are going to help me go to the bathroom. I peed like 1,000 milliliters. I'm not even kidding you. She was like, wow, you really had to go.
I'm not shocked.
I'm like, girl, please.
Because they pump you with fluid.
Oh, man. I was so bloated.
Yeah.
My feet were so swollen. I had to wear flip-flops home in the dead of winter in the snow.
And then they're like, oh, but your baby lost weight. Duh.
Yeah.
It's all the water weight that you just pushed into the baby.
Thank you.
Ugh.
Yes. I didn't know anything about that until like semi-recently, actually.
Really?
So it makes, Hannah dropped serious weight.
Reagan was so swollen, and then they tried to tell me that she wasn't gaining weight. Like, that was my first time, and I knew that. How do they
So then, that? What about Johnny? What was his overview?
Johnny,
I was
a little nervous with him because I had never gone into a natural labor at that point, obviously. And so I didn't really know what to expect. I didn't know what a real contraction felt like, because my first contraction with Hannah was a Pitocin contraction. And so I had him in Germany. So fun fact about me, I've had 3 babies on 3 continents.
Cool.
1 in America, North America, 1 in Europe, and 1 in Asia. So my European baby, Germans are very on the conservative side when it comes to medications, and they're unless labor has already started, they are not using Pitocin at all. They're very using Pitocin to start labor. So they were doing like some more gentle method. Took 3 days because they were like, he's a little on the bigger side. We'd feel better if you came in at 40 weeks. And we started like a gentle induction. It was the height of COVID, December of 2020. So everything was sketch over there as far as that goes. We were able to get a family room. So David was able to come and be with me, which was like such a blessing because I don't even know what I would have done had I not.
I cannot imagine. Like, I would have thrown the world's biggest fit. Like,
I believe it.
yeah.
I think, I don't know. It was just a real big blessing that he was able to be there. He wasn't allowed to leave the room though, which I thought was really funny. Like, didn't make any sense. He could only leave the room if I was in
At the
active
hospitals
labor.
I worked at, they couldn't leave the room.
It's so funny. He had to get COVID tested in order to come into the hospital. So they would, I feel like he should have the same freedom of movement as I had.
Yeah.
Because I started walking the halls, and on day 3, I was like, man, this is wild. I found some other random lady who is also American in labor also. So we're just walking up and down the stairs, up and down the halls, like in a basically virtually like deserted area because everyone's like all whatever about COVID. And poor David's just like living his worst life in the hospital room. And
Wait, so they let you walk around, but they didn't let him walk around.
Yeah, that's correct.
Isn't that like it wouldn't?
That makes no sense. So
to accept COVID if any of it made sense.
Well, it's like the same thing as when you went to a restaurant, you could take your mask off when you went to eat
because there's a magical bubble.
COVID doesn't exist if you're sitting down.
Yeah, it's a magic bubble.
Yeah.
Where I worked at all the hospitals, I worked at 2 hospitals like during the COVID time frame ish between 2020 and then 2021. The rule was that if you were COVID negative, he could leave the room and come and go. And you could walk the halls, but you had to be wearing a mask. If you were COVID positive, because they tested everybody, symptomatic or not symptomatic, and that's something that drives me nuts. That's something that still to this day I get very triggered by. Because if you don't have symptoms, your viral load isn't high enough for you to be shedding, for you to give it to somebody else to make them severely sick. But in other news,
say it again.
If you were positive, he couldn't leave the room. If you were positive, he couldn't leave the room, but you also couldn't leave the room either. And so
that's
to me, I'm like, okay, that makes sense because you don't want him to be around somebody who's positive and then going and mingling with society within whatever. But the fact that David had to sit in the room and you could walk around kills me. That
we
makes
were both
no sense.
negative, by the way. We had both had he had to get a special test on base just to be able to enter the hospital with me. And it was it showed he was negative. He was allowed to go to the birthing suite with me. But he basically had to wear a mask the whole time. It was really wild. I actually feel really bad for him in that labor, even though I was having a bad time too. Like he also, like credit where credit is due. He suffered during that labor too. Not as much as I did, but pretty close, pretty bad. But he was so fed up with this hospital. Like he had our bags packed in his hand when I came back in the room and I was like, think I'm in labor this time. He's like, yeah, right. We're leaving. This is ridiculous. And I don't blame him. I don't blame him at all. He was so frustrated, rightfully so.
For 3 days straight.
This man he had his own bed at least. Like good. We got to share the room. There were 2 beds. And I want to say he was fed, but I don't remember. I mean, I've shared with I don't know if he got his own meal, we didn't bring anything to do. We were playing Uno on our phones. Like it was awful. It was rough. But I was just like 13:30 in the afternoon and I was like, I'm pretty sure it's real this time. He's like, yeah, right. And then labor really had started at that point. And I was like, didn't know how to handle the contractions because I hadn't prepared myself for the pain of labor at that point. I don't know what I thought I was doing with my life, but I don't know, here I was in all this pain, and the midwife was trying to get me in the bed, and I was actively refusing. That's, like, been something with all 3 of my labors. I have been so anti being in the bed because they want me on my back so they can monitor me. And this, like, weird primal part of me is like, "No way." Like, just so angrily, like, absolutely not about
Which is
it.
not a logical thing. Like,
I told the midwife at the time, I was like, "Listen, you can monitor me any which way you want. I'm not getting in that bed." That's been my I'm not against the monitors. I'm against bed. Um, and, thankfully, some of the German doctors spoke English. There was this one doctor who did not speak any English. She was so, so kind to me, though. It, like, didn't even matter. I thought that was really
Aw.
cool experience. Like, this was when I was so the pain got really hard for me to handle, and I wasn't prepared. And they were, like, telling me, like, if I didn't calm down, like, we were gonna have to go to the OR. Again, I'm threatened with the OR in my labor, and I'm like, "Give me whatever. I don't wanna go to the OR." And so they gave me pain medication, and I didn't ask what it was. Again, it's very different when you're giving birth in a foreign country because you really have to give this
Mm-hmm.
insane amount of trust to the people who are giving you care,
Mm-hmm.
because my OB that I saw my entire
Mm-hmm.
pregnancy, that I truly developed this, like, very trusting relationship with, is not they don't work like they do in America, where your doctor goes to the hospital. They have hospital physicians, like OB special physicians that are hospital physicians that deliver your baby. They have, like a big
Mm-hmm.
OB, they have a little OB, and they have a midwife. And so the big OB is kinda, like, back and forth between all the patients. The midwife is really, like, the one in the thick of it delivering your baby, and then you have the other, like, under doctor, I guess you could call it, who's there just to kind of, like, support and do all the things. It was the under doctor who didn't speak any English, who was literally holding me as I could barely stand. I almost passed out on the floor from the after effects of the pain medication.
Mm.
Um, I was so dehydrated, I threw up. It was actually thinking about it, is I haven't thought about this in so long. Um, that was kind of a wild labor.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sounds
Well,
like
'cause
it.
Mm-hmm.
then I was, like, in so much pain. And they were like, "We can't give you anything else because you can't have that more than, like,
Yeah.
a certain amount of
Mm-hmm.
time." And so then I'm like, "I need an epidural." And they're like, "You're progressing too fast. You can't have one." And I was like, "No." Felt like I was really um, that was the one. Okay, I'll say this and then answer whatever question you have, Leah. David's one freak out of the birth, what the whole labor experience was, when they told me I couldn't have an epidural. He's like, "What do you mean she can't have an epidural? You just expect her to do this with no epidural?" He, like, really freaked out on my behalf.
Aw,
It
that's
was
so
it was
nice.
it was really sweet. And so he got himself together and helped me through the rest of the situation. But yeah, that was funny.
Dang.
I want to know, out of curiosity, what are some of the biggest differences you experienced between labor and delivery in America and then labor and delivery in Germany? Because you delivered at a local hospital, right?
I
It
did,
wasn't
yeah.
the base hospital.
No, our base didn't have a hospital. Um, so you get pregnant in Bavaria, you're going to the German hospitals and the German OBs. Pretty
So
much
what were some of
outside
the
of
biggest differences?
So I would say the biggest is they're very hands off.
Love it.
Mm,
Like, when they give you the
yeah.
medicine, they come in and talk to you. Um, the doctors I all dealt with were very, like, willing to answer any questions. Germans are very matter of fact and very, like, to the point.
Mm-hmm.
So I didn't really have a lot of questions because they're already telling me everything that I need to know.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but once they do
Mm-hmm.
that, like, they gave me, like, some pills, like the Cytotec, I think it's called,
Mm-hmm.
pills,
Mm-hmm.
and
Yep.
then I
Mm-hmm.
didn't see
Yep.
anyone again until somebody brought my lunch. I didn't see anyone again until 7 hours, like an actual medical person, until 7 hours after I got the pill so they could check me. And then I didn't see him again until someone brought my dinner. Like, it was literally like necessity only. Now, if I called someone and needed something, they were right there. But after I had my baby, I went into this like very secluded area with him, David, and the midwife. And I mean, where David and John and I were all just in a room by ourselves, just like recovering for like an hour, like out in the ether. I don't even know where we were. Not in the main part of the hospital, like nowhere around. No, it was just us. The midwife's like coming in very gently. It's like very low light, very like it's very supportive of a biological situation, right? She's like doing the paperwork for the birth certificate and all that, which funny enough, we had no idea. She brought us this little footprint card that she made of John's feet. And she's like, just write his name on it. And so David wrote, so he was born on St. Nikolaus Day in Germany. So we made his unofficial second middle name, Nikolaus, on this footprint card. Well, our midwife used the footprint card to write his birth certificate. So it became his very official second middle name. And we almost named him Jonathan, but his government name is John. And I'm so glad because John, I'm going to omit his other middle name, Nicholas Dwight, is barely fits on his passport. So it was probably good. I don't think Jonathan would have fit on there. But yeah, I would say they put me back in the room after, a couple hours or whatever. And they didn't come all night. They let us sleep all night until 6, 7 in the morning. Yeah, so that is honestly the biggest difference to me was, I guess they're very naturally minded and they're very hands off.
Yeah.
That's
Love
awesome.
that. Okay, cool. That's cool for people to know. Yeah.
Yeah.
For sure. Anything else about John's birth that stands out to you that you want to share?
Yeah, so I labored in the tub for a long time, but I learned last week from you that your belly has to be fully submerged in the water to have the pain relief effect. And mine was not, and I did not have pain relief. It was awful. I felt like I was dying
We
in the
should go
tub.
sit in my tub to see if that'll work for me.
You should absolutely do that.
Okay, so that's it for Johnny. And then
So actually I had a failed epidural.
Probably the most
with
epic.
John.
Okay.
So, and I do want to highlight that because I feel like this is not talked about enough. I had a failed epidural because she went into the spinal area. Like she went too far in. I had spinal headaches for 2 weeks post-birth. And I thought I was dying. John was in the NICU at a different German hospital, which I cannot recommend more. They were wonderful. And I felt like I was dying the entire freaking time that I was in this thing. I was like, do I have like the thing that you get after birth where you just have all these headaches and then you die? Like, am I going to die? Like, I really thought I was dying. It was in this existential like thing, but no, it was because of a failed epidural.
Wow.
But I pushed John out in 4 pushes. The first one, my water broke all over my midwife. I am so sorry for that. Then 3 more pushes and he was out. And he was huge. He was 9 pounds, 5.5 ounces.
The one time they've actually been right about it.
I know. Yeah. Really good that I probably did that induction because who knows how big he would have been.
At the same time, though, I know so many people, you included, who have had 10+ pound babies totally naturally, totally fine.
What a great segue into Charlie. So to Tarantino,
I have a fun fact though that I want to share with people.
Oh yeah, let's do it.
I'm looking up the statistic because even the nurse in me had my world rocked when I learned this during my doula training, and I'm looking for it. Okay, so only 10% of moms have their water break naturally before they get to the hospital.
Yeah,
that's so interesting.
The majority of moms, if you were to leave them alone, would not have their water rupture until closer to delivery.
Yeah.
Like when you were pushing, you were complete and you were pushing and then your water broke,
Exploded.
that is more normal. Or somebody's water breaks and then all of a sudden they feel the urge to push. That is more normal than having your water break before going to the hospital.
Mm.
And a fun fact that I also learned, which really freaking rocked my world, is having a physician rupture your membranes does not speed up labor more than 20 minutes,
No,
according to
it just
research and
makes it
studies.
so much more painful, but we'll
It
get to
just
that.
makes it more painful. And
Yeah.
that's like standard of practice in the OB world. And I've seen it so many times as a nurse. And then when I learned that during my training, I was like,
Because then you get to charge for the
stop
epidural.
breaking their waters.
Yep.
No, that's actually a different charge. The physician doesn't make any money for you getting an epidural. That's
No, but the
anesthesia,
hospital
and that's a
does.
different team. Yeah, but the physician doesn't care about how much money the hospital makes. I'm sorry to bust your conspiracy theory. It's just old practice. That's not
physicians get-
evidence-based.
Bonuses from the hospital.
The physicians for the amount of deliveries, but not for how long somebody's there or how many
not for how long,
resources.
but
Like the
number
amount
of deliveries, you break the water, you get the epidural, you have the baby, boom, next.
But not if it speeds.
Yeah,
doesn't
but you're going to
speed up
deliver either
labor.
way once you're admitted. Yeah, you're going to deliver either way once you're admitted. I'm sorry. I really hate busting your tinfoil hat theory because I love a good conspiracy, but that's just not valid.
I hate doctors.
Right off your head.
Okay, Charlie.
Okay, so with Charlie, I'm going to Tarantino it for everybody. Charlie was 11 pounds, 1 ounce. And I did birth him naturally with some complications. So, all right. So it's been long enough now. Charlie's B2 in March. I can probably talk about this without crying. But at the time when I was like trying to process what happened, it was really emotional to process. So I just also want to put that out there because I feel like that's also not talked about how emotionally taxing just labor and delivery is and birth, like in general. And then you throw in if you had any sort of complication, it could be really minor. It could be something that happened that you didn't want, or it can be a literal emergency, like and everything in between. I think it can
So valid.
it gets scary. And so, you know, when you come out of the birth and you're not just like this happy, whatever, like, or if you have ups and downs or whatever, like that's okay. So I want to normalize that for people because I think Charlie's birth really taught me that up and down and
Well, and then you have to go into being a mom.
right.
Yeah.
Well, and
And like, when do you have time to process? You already had 2 kids.
I know. Yeah.
You know?
You know, I think with the way that I processed it was talking about it, honestly. Like, and it was with a lot of tears. I know with you, I cried with you, talking to you about it. And I mean, it was probably like 6 months. Anytime I talked about it, I cried.
I remember because I didn't ask you about it for a while because all I knew is that you said it was traumatic. So I was like, okay, she does not want to talk about that. And then we talked about it.
Yeah.
But because you brought it up, I think. Yeah.
Yeah. So find anyone that is willing to listen. Honestly, even if they don't give you anything back, I think, and that's not true. I don't mean to, that made it seem like even if you don't get anything back, like Alyssa didn't give me anything. No, but like, even if it's somebody who you aren't expecting like to actually help you process, like talking about it and getting it out of your head is a huge part of it.
Yeah. Oh, and also like, I didn't ask you about it, but it's not because I wasn't interested. It was because I was trying to respect whatever was going on.
Right.
So like, just because someone hasn't asked you about it over and over and over doesn't mean they're not interested and they don't want to be there for you. They just might not know how you need them to be there for you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I remember, I think this was like 10 days postpartum, maybe 2 weeks postpartum. I was still hearing myself like, this is a trigger warning. I'm going to put that out there right now. Screaming. I could hear myself screaming bloody murder at the top of my lungs in my own head. So I definitely had some actual PTSD symptoms after this birth. And I remember, so David has it on video.
Jeez.
It's actually a very tasteful looking video. All of the things that were going wrong were outside of the view of the picture. You can hear them all, but you can't see any of them. So I begged him for about, not begged, I mean, I asked him multiple times for several weeks for him to send me the video. He was like, I don't think you want to see it. I think it's a bad idea. Like, he was really trying to warn me against it. But I told him, I was like, I need to connect what I think is reality with actual reality. And this is the closest I have.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm going to be honest, it did not help. It didn't hurt. I didn't feel worse or anything afterwards, but it didn't give me the closure I thought it was going to give me, because all I saw was not what I was experiencing. Like, you couldn't see any of the things that were going on. So I'll go into it. There's my Tarantino. And so there I was. No, I'm just kidding. So I was very, 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 and I've talked about this in our other episodes, very adamant about a natural labor this time because of my failed epidural, and because, I mean, I had symptoms from that for like 2 years, where I had numbness down my leg and like pain in my foot, numbness in my foot, like all the one side, pain in my back. Like, I had a lot of issues from the epidural, and so I was really not interested in getting another one. And so I got into, like, really thought about, like, what do I need to do to manage this? So I became extremely informed, not only about pain management, how your partner can help you, but about what I wanted and what I didn't want in my labor. So I started feeling like little baby teeny contractions, maybe around 5 a.m. I like excused them away and went back to sleep, got up again. And I told David, I was like, you know what? We should just put the bags in the car, like, just in case. It's like, we'll take the kids to school with the bags in the car. He's like, okay. Johnny had a doctor's appointment that day, and so we took him to the doctor. I was definitely having contractions, but they're very chill, I guess.
Yeah.
Like, I had an appointment because I was 41 weeks in one day, and I had already had an appointment to get like a stress test done, because they were like all worried about me not accepting an induction that they had offered me like 8 times.
Literally starting at like 38 weeks of the hospital.
Yeah, I think they handed me the paper at 37, and I was like, you're wasting your paper with me.
Yeah.
Take it just in case. Like, okay, I'm gonna crumple it and throw it out in the trash can on the way out, but that's fine. But yeah, so they were all like real worried. And at the time, the labor and delivery department, or the OB department, was very like oversaturated with patients and undersaturated with providers. So they were just they had no appointments. And so I was already scheduled to go into the WICU, which is the Women Infant Care Unit here, not here, because I'm in Arizona, in Korea at the on-base hospital. And they were like, oh, you're in labor. I was like, yeah, I am. So they like checked me and were monitoring my contractions for a while. And they're like, yeah, you're about 4 centimeters. We're super packed today. So just go home for a little bit and come back. So I did. I went home. I chilled at home for like an hour. I picked up some rocks for my kids. Like, I really had just like the chillest day. I go back to the hospital around 1:30, 2 o'clock, something like that. And they're starting to get picked up a little bit closer together, a little bit more intense. Actually, intense is the word. They check me again. They're like, oh, you're like 5.5. Like, just walk around the hospital for a little bit. We should be ready for you by the time you're ready. Well, then I just was going through hell, like walking up and down the unit, and I can't imagine like hearing about that some women were not allowed to labor in the hallways during COVID. Like, I can't imagine being in that situation like that I was in, and having the freedom to walk around, bless you, and like being able to just breathe through and walk through my contractions and move. I had to move. Bless you.
Yeah, just keep going.
I can't. It's a compulsion. I was like eating ice, and I'd like breathe through my contractions, and then I'd keep walking. I'd eat ice, I'd eat ice, I'd eat ice. So like I guess ice was a pain management tool for me, which was really interesting. Also my husband, I have to give him the largest shout out. I told him that because I was like, hey, listen up. I need your attention and I need it now. I was like, I need you to be my my rock during labor. Like, this is what I want, and I need you to be the gatekeeper for it, and I need you to help me through my contractions. I need you to be supportive and tell me that I can do this. Don't let me get the epidural because I don't want it. Don't let me cave. And he showed up and showed out. I mean, like, he breathed through every single contraction with me. He was right there, like in every single moment, present. He monitored every contraction that I had on an app on his
So
phone
cute.
during this entire thing. I mean, like he was even videoing as he's like, I thought I'd get a cute video for when Charlie came out. And, a tasteful, cute video. And then he ended up, recording that traumatic moment. But I mean, he was just the reason that I got through the natural labor. He really was.
So
So
awesome.
huge shout out to you, babe, because I couldn't have done it without you.
That's awesome.
That makes me super emotional. Anyways, I'm gonna move past this, just shove those emotions down so I can continue. So yeah, but I was like, I could feel it like really amping up, and I started to feel more animalistic in my contractions for sure. Like, to where I was like a throaty wildcat during my contractions. That's like the best way I can describe it. And I heard, because the nurse was like, oh yeah, you can go ahead and go in the labor room. Like, we'll be in there. Like, there's finally one open for you. Like, we'll be in there. So I was like, okay. She came running in there and was like, I heard your sounds change. Let's get you admitted. And I was in transition during my admittance to the hospital. And so I plugged this in the last episode, but I'm going to say it again because it is wildly important and literally changed everything for me during my birth. Be informed. Do your research, know exactly what you want, so that when you're in a literal, having an actual transition contraction while you're signing your consent forms when you go to the hospital, you can have the wherewithal to say, nope, I don't want that. Nope, I don't want that. Nope, I don't want that, and sign. Because had I just gone in there and signed the consent form like I did with every other baby, with Hannah and John, I would have ended up with a lot of things that I just did not agree with that would have made it more traumatic, that could have harmed me or my baby. Like, it was really, it changed everything for me. Another, I had a lot of different tactics, I guess, for managing labor. I had a diffuser I never got out, even though I used it with Hannah. That it was like seriously impactful for me during my transition with her. I forgot that I had music until I was in transition, and I was like, turn the music on, I need distraction. And I feel like I really feel like I channeled in. I told David to put on my like Christian playlist, which I had like several playlists. I had like a country one, I had like old school rap,
You
and
never
I
know
had
what you're
you
feeling.
never know.
Yeah.
So, but I was like, no, I need my spiritual playlist
need
on.
Jesus in
I
this.
need Jesus. And yeah, it just there's this one song. It's called "I'll Find You" by Lecrae, and the words are just fight a little longer, my friend. It's all worth it in the end. And like that was like playing on repeat in my mind. And I was like, oh my gosh. Like, and I think about it now and I'm like, whoa, it's still really impactful for me even now. But so yeah, we hit transition. My dinner's being delivered. Like and
Got some dinner? You might throw it out.
I was like, you can just set it on the counter, thanks. They're like, wow, you're so polite. I was like, I mean, just because I'm suffering doesn't mean I have to make other people suffer.
I'd be like, I'm in between contractions. You came at a good time.
You came at a good time. Yeah. So, yeah, I remember distinctly my nurse I was like, I have to go pee. And she was like, don't you dare have a baby on the toilet. Promise me you won't do any pushing on the toilet. I was like, it's just pee. She's like, just promise me we're not having a toilet baby today. I was like, I promise no toilet babies. And so when I came back from that potty break, I had like again, trigger warning for anybody who's a little squeamish. I had my bloody show after that. And I was bouncing on a labor ball. And at like literally within minutes of that, I mean, it had to be like a couple of minutes. I was like, oh, like something had changed. I was like, I need to get on the bed. I knew it was going to be time to push. And, the doctor was in there by that point, and she was in there she like pulled her sleeves up to her elbows. Like she was in it. Like, yeah, I freaking loved her. She was great. Dr. Black was her name. She was awesome.
I've heard such mixed reviews on her.
I loved her.
She was awesome.
Yeah, she was really good for me.
Yeah.
I don't say this to discredit her, but she felt like a nurse to me. Like she was in it with me. And I loved that. She was like eye level with me. She was like, she didn't come in as like a superior authority. She came in there as someone part of the team. And I just cannot say enough good things about her for that. But she was in there to have a baby, and that's what we did. So, I had been laboring tough contractions. Like they were like a minute or less than a minute apart, like every minute to minute and a half for a couple 3-4 hours at this point. So no, let's call it 3 hours. But I was getting tired because they were intense, and I was ready to have this baby. And so my baby was ready to be born because he was ready to come out. So I started on all fours and was like, I pushed and his head came out, and then I pushed again, and I pushed again, and I pushed again, and he wasn't coming out. Because he had a stuck shoulder. It's called a shoulder dystocia. And maybe Leah, you can take a minute to give kind of like the medical version of that for our listeners.
Yeah. So a shoulder dystocia is when the head is delivered, but the shoulder gets stuck on your pubic bone because of whatever angle or direction a baby's coming down, or notorious for large babies because the shoulders are the broadest part of the body. So just because the head comes out doesn't mean the biggest part of the body has come out. Usually it's fine. It's not common at all. I think I've done less than 10 of my own patients out of 700 deliveries I've done that have been true shoulder dystocias, like what you experienced with Charlie. And so the rest of his body can't come out because if this is your pelvis right here, his shoulder is like here on your pubic bone. So it can't get out because it's lodged into that. So the only way to fix that is different positioning changes to try to open up your pelvis more to drop that shoulder off of it. Or, which I don't know if you remember, but you definitely would have experienced a nurse jumping quite literally on top of you, pushing on your stomach, almost like we're doing chest compressions to try to push that shoulder off of that pubic bone to get the head out. And medically, it's considered an obstetric emergency because as soon as that head is delivered, your baby is no longer receiving oxygen from the umbilical cord. Their body is switching over to take that first breath and cry to breathe oxygen, like true breathing of oxygen. So the amount of time that head is out without the rest of the body being delivered, that baby is not getting oxygen, which is why it's considered an emergency. They're pretty traumatic for all parties involved, but particularly the mom, and the fact that you didn't have a freaking epidural still to this day blows my mind because I've only experienced it once with somebody who didn't have an epidural, but hers wasn't a true shoulder dystocia. Hers was it was a positional thing, and she was clenching down and she wouldn't, yeah. But yours was, yeah, I still can't believe that you freaking did that without a epidural.
I mean, so the nurse well, I'll tell it in the timeline. So as soon as they realized that we had a stuck shoulder, everyone, the vibe, the atmosphere, everything changed. I had heard the words shoulder dystocia before, just like in a distant part of my mind. I'm like, that sounds familiar, but I couldn't remember from where or what it was. But I could tell that it wasn't good based off of everyone changed, I guess. And so in an effort to not panic, I was telling myself, like, it's fine, you're fine, everything's fine. And like, you're gonna be fine. Like everything's okay. I dissociated too hard because like the lights were on, but nobody was home. Like I was very because I was trying not to freak out, but I unfreaked out really hard. And so I did, again, I'm going to plug a third trigger warning because this is very graphic to explain. The nurses and the doctors, they called in another nurse. It was like the charge nurse, I'm pretty sure. And the doctor, my nurse, and the charge nurse were all working together. I have to say they were a well-oiled machine. I mean, they were working together seamlessly as if this happened to every baby they had ever delivered. I mean, I'm impressed even now thinking about it. Like, wow. They just knew exactly what they were doing. But there was multiple things going on. They were reaching inside of me, trying to reposition him, you know, not frantically, but very rapidly, I guess. Because there was no panic with them. I just need to make that clear.
Intentionally. They're being very intentional and particular
Yes.
about the movements.
Yes, and they're talking to each other, they're working fast, they're doing, it was very rapid. This occurred in 1 minute's time.
Wow.
1 minute, all of this happened. It felt so much longer to me, but looking back at the actual, because they were saying, had it gone any longer, they would have had to do other medical interventions. But because it was literally at the minute mark, because she looked at the contraction sheet to check it, yeah, he came out in a minute. But they were so furiously working. I had scratches on me. Charlie came out with scratches on him. He did have a fractured shoulder when he came out. It was I believe it was it wasn't like a broken clavicle. It was like the top shoulder bone had a little click in it and they didn't discover it at the time. The pediatrician who checked him out later, at the time, she was like, oh, he's fine. His stats are great. Like everything's fine. And handed him back to me within 10 minutes probably. And they didn't discover his shoulder thing until maybe his 2-week appointment or something. They're like, we could get it x-rayed, but there's nothing we can do about it. So I was like, then we're not getting it x-rayed.
Yeah, what's the point?
What's the point? Yeah. So rewind back to the birth event. I literally could not have, two things are true. I could not have birthed him naturally if I would have had an epidural. It couldn't have happened because I had to flip positions multiple times in order to get him out. I ended up finally getting him out on all fours again. I was on my side at one point. I don't even know. I dissociated a little too hard. But I could not hear the nurses. That's how far into my brain I had kind of escaped. I distantly heard them, but I wasn't, again, lights were on, nobody home. My husband my husband and God are the only reasons I got through that, because I could feel God's presence. I really could. I feel like the Holy Spirit was with me in this moment. Like I could not have done it.
I'm gonna cry about this.
I know. Like I had been listening. So this is the part I think you missed, Leah. I had been listening to, I made multiple labor playlists, different genres. And I told David, like, when I was in transition, I was like, put on the music. I need a distraction. And I was like, put on the Christian one. And there's this one song by Lecrae. It's called I'll Find You. And it's like, just fight a little. Oh my gosh, I'm going to cry. Just fight a little longer, my friend. It's all worth it in the end. And then it was like talking about like going through pain, and I don't know, there's a lot of things in that song that whenever I hear it now, I always think of my labor with Charlie, because it was basically like, God is going to see you through this. And that was what was in my mind in the moment of like the literal 1 minute of trauma that I experienced. It's funny though how such a traumatic thing can have such a lasting impact. Like 1 minute of trauma can be just last for so long. But David was like shouting everything that, or maybe he wasn't shouting. I don't know. Let's just for my perspective, he was shouting, whatever they were saying. And I heard him, so I followed his directions. And, you know, there was multiple hands inside of me trying to move him around, and I was moving around, and they were finally like, push as hard as you can. And they pulled him out as I pushed him out. I was on all fours, so I don't think anyone was actually pushing on my belly, but maybe they were, again, completely absent from my physical body at this time. But the scream that I screamed when I finally pushed him out was the thing that kept echoing in my mind. I was like, I screamed like someone was murdering me. I mean, I'm serious. Like, it was probably the most intense scream I've ever scrumped my whole life. Scrubbed. Trying to add some humor so I don't cry. Yeah, it was so intense. And, you know, they immediately clamped and took him away. The cool thing about the birthing suites at BDAC, which is the on-post hospital here in Korea, is the baby room is attached to the labor room, and there's windows, so I could pretty much see in there. But I collapsed face first on the bed, and David's like was in this crazy position where he's like, I don't want to leave you, but they're taking our baby. What do I do? I'm like, go, get out of here, go be with him. And I'm asking, like, is he okay? And like, because that's all I care about at this point. Like, is he okay? Because obviously something really bad just happened. I don't even remember delivering my placenta. Like, I was checked out, and it took me, I think, until they brought him to me. It took me until that time to really like come around, like mentally, I guess. Where I was like, well, I think the Dr. Black came over, and she was like, why don't you go ahead and flip over? I want to check you out. And I'm like thinking, oh my gosh, I'm ruined forever. Just completely obliterated down there. I was like, I think I had my hands over my face like this, and I was just like, how bad is it? And she was like, oh, there's no tearing. And I was like, I'm pretty sure I just had like 8 hands inside of me. Not really, but probably like legitimately 4 hands.
Oof.
I think you need to check again. Like, please check again. And she was like, okay. She checked again, and I had no tearing. So that to me is a God thing. I don't know.
Yeah.
Physically, it feels impossible. It feels impossible.
Yeah.
11-pound, 1-ounce baby, stuck shoulder, 4 hands inside me, plus a baby's head trying to come out. Like, it's physically, biologically impossible,
Yeah, it
right?
doesn't make sense.
Like, it has to be the hands of God. So yeah. But he was very fine. I heard him cry like very soon after they took him. And yeah, they brought him back to me, and he didn't have to do any NICU time or anything like that. But it was the shock of my life finding out he was 11 pounds, 1 ounce.
Yeah.
I was like, come again? Excuse me?
You were famous at
What?
TWC.
I really was.
Yeah.
Yeah. Jennifer outed my news to everybody. Not that it was a secret, but she was like so excited, I guess. She was like, oh my gosh. So people knew about how big Charlie was. They're like, oh my gosh, I can't believe you birthed an 11-pound baby. I'm like, I don't even know you. Like, what are you talking about? How do you know this? But yeah, that's my trauma. That's my birth story. It was wild times, but couldn't have done it without God and my husband. They would have cut me without any pain management or anything had I not declined the episiotomy. Might have helped to get him out a little more, maybe.
Episiotomy or epidural?
Episiotomy. Because I did decline the epidural, but on the consent form, they have like, episiotomy, forceps, vacuum, like, and all like the interventions that they might possibly use.
And they don't like make it easy for you to decline it either.
Well, that's what I'm literally in transition having a contraction. I'm like, what if I don't want this?
Yeah.
And she's like, just cross it out and initial it. So I'm like,
Yeah.
okay. So I'm literally sitting there having a contraction, crossing out and initialing what I don't want. And had I not been extremely, excessively, adamantly against these things and known that and been very convicted about that, they would have given me an episiotomy.
And then you would have had tearing.
Then I would have had tearing.
And you didn't.
I don't know, Leah, maybe you can comment on this. They might have tried to use forceps or a vacuum to get him out.
No, that's only for when the head
Oh,
isn't
okay.
coming out. Once the head's delivered, the forceps and vacuum are null and void. And episiotomy is really like a last ditch effort. The only time I've seen them episiotomy on shoulder dystocias is when we get to like the minute 30-second mark and that baby's still not coming out because it's more traumatic for you. So worst case scenario with a shoulder dystocia is I kid you freaking not. I've never seen it done.
Oh, I know what you're about to say.
They push the baby back in.
Yeah.
They push the baby back in, take you to the OR, do a C-section.
Yeah.
Episiotomy is the last resort to create more space for the baby to come out, hands to get in to maneuver the baby. So that's not something that's super commonly practiced.
Okay.
It's just, that's literally, it's last ditch effort, 1 minute 30, because by 2 to 3 minutes, realistically, a doctor should be making a decision.
Yeah.
But don't get me wrong, I've seen like a 5 or 6 minute shoulder dystocia before because the doctor did not want to try to push that baby back in to go to the OR. But yeah, they wouldn't have done it unless your shoulder dystocia had gotten a little bit longer, I don't think, especially because you were natural, because you would have felt that too.
Yeah.
And you had the ability to move. You had the ability to move and change positions and whatnot, which makes it easier for the baby to come out because he's moving every time you move. So it's
Mhm.
shoulders wiggling. And then hands and
Mhm.
knees again is the widest diameter your pelvis can be. So that gives him the most space to move.
Mm. Yeah, well, he did finally come out. And I feel like
And no
this
tearing.
is
That's freaking insane to me that you had an 11-pound baby, shoulder dystocia, and you didn't tear.
yep, it is insane. I mean, yeah, it's my measure of hard every time I have to go through something hard.
That's our measure card.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's amazing. You're a rock
But I
star,
had it.
Tori.
God showed up and showed out for sure. I mean, absolutely nothing was wrong with me and absolutely nothing was wrong with him. And
Crazy.
and also I had a solid birth burner. I mean, David was my freaking rock during every moment of my labor. But it took me months
Thank
to
you.
get over it.
Thank you for your vulnerability and sharing that with everybody. I know that there are going to be so many women who are going to listen to this, who are going to think that you're just as much of a rock star as we think you are. I'm so proud of you
Thanks.
for sharing that with everyone.
I think something also
So.
for those who might have had like a trauma, something for me that it was hard to kind of come to terms with is because the outcome was like perfectly fine. I was like, did I actually have this? Like, was it actually as bad as I think it is? Like,
Yeah.
you know, even my own brain tried to second guess it. I mean, every time I looked at the scratches on my baby and the scratches on me, like I'd have like a triggered moment where I was just like, oh my gosh, this happened. And I just hug him like a little closer, like, okay, we survived this together. But that felt dramatic at the same time. I felt like I was being dramatic.
But it wasn't.
But it wasn't.
Yeah.
So I'm here to tell you, from one, this is hard for me to say because again, I'm still, I'm more hard. I feel like I would support other people when if they told me, if someone, some other woman told me this was their story, I'd be like, wow, like I'd be so supportive. I'd be so like, I don't know, anything. So
It's always different when it's you.
it's always different when it's you. It's terrible because I'm just like, you're fine, to
Well,
myself.
because we're taught that we should just be fine.
Yeah.
And like we reject that for everyone except for ourselves.
Mm-hmm. So I feel like most women are like that.
Yeah.
So if you have had a traumatic situation or you find yourself in the future having had a traumatic situation, I pray that you don't, but if you do, like all of your feelings are valid. You are not downplaying, like everything's fine. Find someone to talk to about it. DM us. Like we're here too.
Yeah.
That's so good. And also like share your story. And if you want to share your story, because that's a really good way for you to process it, to truly be able to write it down, share it, and externally be able to process it, because a lot of people need that. And I think when we share with friends and family, we share bits and pieces, but being able to sit down and just do the whole thing, everything that you can remember, and that's the sole focus, I think is really healthy and healing.
I think this is the first time I've told the whole thing, and like especially without crying.
Yeah.
So the more you talk about it, the easier it gets, and the more you can kind of process that. Yeah, I couldn't agree more.
Okay, so that being said, let's dive into the moments that make us laugh, the moments that make us cry, and the moments that make us just say, yep, that's mom life. And to continue to make Tori uncomfortable being the center of attention, I'm going to let Tori start us off with her Momtroversial moment.
Awesome. Well, actually, I have several. So I recently embarked on a solo journey with 3 of my children, all 3 of them, only 3, on an international trip from Korea to America. Oh my gosh, why did I think I could do this? Okay, it was so hard. It was so flipping hard. And I still have to make the trip back, and I don't know how I'm going to do it. But at least I know waiting for us on the other side is our beds. Like, our stuff. Like it's a little bit different when you go home because your stuff's there,
Tucked
and you
dirty,
can
nothing like your own bed.
I know, right? So yeah, it was extremely hard. It's been extremely hard. I've been like my kids really, especially Johnny, has really suffered from jet lag and just like a change of environment, a change of routine. Out of all three of my kids, he is the most particular when it comes to like schedule and routine and stuff like that. Like when he gets off of his routine at home, he gets a little wily. So, so yeah, I think that has been one of the hardest things to date, other than my birth with Charlie, that I have ever done. Motherhood. But I have a second, like it's kind of more of it in general. But right now, I am in Arizona helping Alyssa move into her house.
And we're terrible influencers and not recorded a single thing.
Oh, I know. Like, what are we doing with our lives? We've been so in it, though. I mean, it's been a lot of work.
It's like a 48-hour turn and burn.
Mm-hmm. We've been busting hump over here.
Yeah.
We actually had to take R&R today because we busted it too hard yesterday.
Yeah. I had like the biggest headache. She was like, you need to take a nap. I was like, I do need to take a nap.
Yeah. So anyways, I brought Charlie with me and I left my big two with my parents. And Charlie has been the cutest little helper.
So cute.
He's got solo child energy. He really does. Like
he's thriving.
He's thriving.
He's thriving.
Yeah, because 2 moms plus 1 kid equals no kids, first of all. The movers were all about Charlie.
Oh, yeah.
Loved Charlie. We're looking for where he was at. Like, Charlie, are you in the way? They're bringing in boxes.
Literally, every time they came with Dolly, they were like, where's Charlie? We're like, we got him.
He's been so helpful. He's 20 months old.
We would like, can you carry this over here? Can you bring this with me? Yeah. Immediately, yeah.
Can you close that door?
Carried the toilet paper to the bathroom.
10 out of 10 times.
Oh, yeah. Closed all the doors for us.
Locked them.
He locks the doors. So we actually have bobby pins like on all the door frames so that we can unlock the door and get in.
Yeah. You would think that having a 20-month-old around would hinder productivity, but like
I feel like
for the most part, he really hasn't. Yeah. It's been, and we haven't just been working during nap times.
Yeah.
He didn't even have a bed at nap time yesterday. Yeah. So
literally yesterday he slept on my back.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Real MVP over here.
As she unpacked all my boxes. I got the better job.
So yeah. So many Momtroversial moments. So wild.
That's so good. That's so good.
Well, my Momtroversial moment happened. So my sister has my kids this week because Ryan's still in school. And so they've been having like the time of their lives with Bonbon and she's been great. But apparently like 5 minutes after Ryan left for the weekend, Reagan jumps over the back of the couch to go to dinner or something, whatever. And then that was fine. It was when KK decided she could do it too that she got the biggest goose egg of her life. Okay? Like half her forehead was
a goose egg.
Yeah.
Purple.
It was like her eye. I was like, I told Yvonne, I was like, Yvonne, you gotta like keep her up, like check her pupils, like eyes. I thought there was no way she wouldn't have a concussion. But she was honestly fine. But it was really stressful. Not because Yvonne wasn't capable. Like Yvonne handled it exactly how I would have, but just because I wasn't there to like make it better. So that was kind of sad. But she's fine now, and we're literally having the best time.
That yeeting off the couch energy.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
What were we setting
that
up?
younger sibling, I can do whatever you can do.
Yeah. We were setting something up and we were like, it'd be fine for Reagan. Oh, we put canopies on the girls' bed.
Oh, yeah.
We were like, do we need an anchor? And I was like, for Reagan, no. For KK, yes.
Absolutely. Let's get the drill.
We're putting anchors in.
There's been a lot of considerations for second child over here.
I really have.
I think for us, this week was a long week. I'm not going to lie to y'all. It's a blur. Travis was gone from 6 a.m. to 8:39 p.m. Monday to Sunday.
Oh my
So I was
gosh.
just in survival mode, but my kids were great. I think this week I wouldn't say moment, just moments, is Declan and Ella are really playing so well together.
Isn't
There
it
were
so
moments in the
fun?
morning or in the evening where I was cleaning and all I would hear is
Mhm.
squealing. And then I would turn around and they're running, chasing,
Mm,
she has
that's
something and
so
he's
cute.
chasing her, or he has something and she's chasing him or whatever. And I think that was really sweet for my heart this week to just see that, because that's just my heart's desire. I mean, isn't that every mom's heart desire for your
Mhm.
kids to just
Yeah.
love each other and want to play together?
Of
And
course,
Declan has
yeah.
been doing this new thing where he freaking brought his outdoor tricycle inside. But last week I was so tired with Travis being gone. It just wasn't a battle that I was going to fight. So the outdoor tricycle's inside. And he's been riding it around and he calls it the taxi. It's his taxi or it's his
Oh,
motorcycle.
cute.
And Ella was eating breakfast and he rode into the kitchen and he said, "Ella, your taxi's here. Ella, your taxi's here. Get in your taxi."
Oh my gosh, how cute.
It was cute.
Oh,
If you
awkward.
like our podcast, we would love if you could go into the bottom and give us a 5-star review. If you're feeling extra scandalous and lovey, leave a comment at the bottom. That's really good for any podcast that you listen to on their platforms, because that helps promote us to be seen by new faces and new eyes. And thank you so much for joining us for sharing Tori's experience and her birth stories with her babies. Until the next time, we hope that you guys keep it momtroversial. Bye.
Bye.
Nice.